Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Gunslingers. And this is a new Western thriller coming to you from writer-director Brian Skiba, who has basically had a career of making straight-to-VOD action thrillers like the second and Guns of Redemption and Clear Cut, where you have some relatively big name actors coming in and popping up and leading some of these action thriller vehicles. And this particular story focuses on a town named Redemption, where reformed gunslinger Keller and mad genius Ben are guided by spiritual leader Jericho towards vindication while confronting their violent histories. Their newfound peace is challenged by violence and revenge. And this particular film is a bit ugly looking. And understandably, this is trying to look gritty and dirty and stuff like that. But just from, the look of the film, the film grading, or whether it's digital, probably digital, but just the look of it, the color tints of everything, anytime they have to use visual effects, or just generally camera work is very clunky. It's shaky. It is ugly visually to look at. And that kind of just takes you right out of this film. It's not particularly well put together from a technical standpoint. And you have these whole stories of... It starts off with Stephen Dorff's Thomas Keller, who they show his backstory, why he got in trouble, and then they have this really clunky just opening act trying to lay down his story, him coming to redemption. And it's not told particularly well or clearly, and then you get into the main story where you have this unexpected character who rolls into town, played by Jeremy Kent Jackson, who has an eye patch, and he's looking for his wife, played by Heather Graham, and looking for his brother, played by Stephen Dorff. And this film basically winds up building up to this one big continuous shootout in the small town. And just from technical standpoints and costuming, this feels very much like we're watching a movie. It doesn't have that authenticity of really getting us into the world around us. And there's so many characters, and so many of them are very one note and bland and boring, and even some of the actors look way too similar. It makes it a little bit harder to really figure out who's who, and especially when many of them don't get a whole lot of characterization. I think there are a few performances that really do ground the film. I think Dorff is definitely one of them. He is one of my most underappreciated actors out there that I feel is stuck in films like this, but can really be making an impact. I'm glad to see him on the most recent 2 seasons of Righteous Gemstones. You have Jeremy Kent Jackson, who I think brings some weight as well to his performance, and his interactions that he has with Dorff really work, or his confrontation with Jericho, played by Costas Mandylor, who I think brings this steely presence to this character. You have Heather Graham, who obviously we've seen in so many things. You have Scarlett Rose Stallone, who plays Bella in the film. It's Sylvester Stallone's daughter. And the strangest, worst, but most entertaining performance in this whole entire film is from Nick Cage, who plays this mad genius of a character. They're talking like this! And, the screaming that he does, the ridiculousness of this role, it's just unbelievable just how unhinged and ridiculous and silly and completely out of place his character is. Now, this film really takes its time trying to build up to where it's supposed to be going, because it's definitely spinning wheels and trying to buy time to extend the narrative and making this a feature-length film. But honestly, there's a few performances that stand out. And, you have characters that are just trying to, move on and find redemption in this place, and somebody has to pull them back in. And overall, there's some solid performances, some of them really honestly strong for a small budget film like this. Any scenes they're able to do and stand out. But in general, this film is not particularly good to look at. It is clunky, it is messy, but there's some crazy, fun, silly, over-the-top gunslinger elements of people just getting, blown away. But by the end, it has a fulfilling, nice message. It's just, did this journey really need to be this long with so many people along the way? But those are my thoughts on Gunslingers. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.